Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Sabrina and I would love it so much if you would subscribe. So I know that I've uploaded an update a couple of weeks ago, but there has been so much that has happened in the last week that I wanted to sit down and have a conversation with you guys about it. Okay, so I ended up staying in the hospital. I was in the hospital for about 2 days, and a lot happened in those 2 days that has completely shifted the way my pregnancy is looking. So that's mostly what we're going to be talking about, but there's a lot of other things that we need to get into. Okay, so why was I in the hospital? So what happened was on a Sunday, I noticed that I was passing white chunks in my urine, and my urine looked like absolute trash. No matter how much water I drank, my urine looked like crap. It looked awful. And so I was in pain, but I deal with UTIs and I have been this whole pregnancy. So I thought I'm just gonna ride it out until I see my doctor. So I made an appointment. Well, this was on a Sunday. On Tuesday, I passed way more white chunks and I felt the urge to like push. Like I was in a lot of pain and I felt the urge to push. So I thought for sure I'm passing a kidney stone. I ended up making an appointment with my doctor for that Thursday, and I was just going to take it easy and push water all day Wednesday. I drank so much water that night. My pain was coming and going, and then I noticed that I had a fever. My fever was anywhere from 100.1, it got up to 100.7, and then I started to get really blurry vision. And I was gonna try to wait it out to go to my doctor because I absolutely hate going to the emergency room, especially for them to just tell me that it was nothing. But I'm so glad that I chose to listen to my body in this moment, because I get there. When I get there, first of all, the lady at the front desk was not very nice. She asked about any COVID symptoms, and I'm like, well, I have a fever. And she's like, you're 94. I was not 94. Those little temp things that they scan on your head, they don't work. When I got up to labor and delivery, I was at 100.5. And the nurse was helping me get into the bed, and she's like, honey, you're burning up. Like, we need to take your temperature now. So I get to labor and delivery. I tell them what's going on. They hook me up and they start taking my vitals, and they're like, sweetheart, your blood pressure is insanely freaking high. That's probably why you're feeling lightheaded and you're dizzy. I gave them my urine, and they're like, that urine looks like absolute trash. So they got me up, they hooked me up to do the belly monitors. If you've ever been pregnant, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I think it's like a non-stress test where they just monitor baby's heartbeat and they monitor to see if you're having any contractions. They did a urine sample and they said that my blood pressure was really high, and then the fever was an issue too. So they were like, we're not letting you leave. Like, we can't let you leave with your urine looking like that, because when they did the urine sample at first, I had over 5,000, however they measure protein, and I was supposed to have 300. And if you guys don't know, protein in your urine along with high blood pressure is a sign of preeclampsia, which they have been monitoring me for. So they're like, we can't let you leave until we figure out what's going on with that protein urine, we get your blood pressure under check, and you're fever free for 24 hours. So I'm like, great. I don't want to be here. Jacob was at work. He didn't get there until probably midnight, and I was freaking out a little bit. So then gave me like so many rounds of blood pressure medicine. They gave me 2 IV, and then I think they gave me 2 rounds of like pill form of blood pressure medicine to try to get my blood pressure down. And then they told me, which this is what scared me the most, they said, we're going to give you steroid shots for baby to develop his lungs in case he has to come early. The magnesium was because they told me because I wouldn't have a seizure because my blood pressure was so high. I know I said that weird. I was freaking out because I'm like, they're gonna make me deliver this baby right now, and I'm only 30 weeks pregnant and I am not ready to have this kid. So they gave me 2 rounds of steroids for baby, and then they gave me the magnesium. Guys, the magnesium made me feel terrible. Like, she gave it to me in my IV, and I'm talking to her and I'm like, ma'am, I don't feel well. I felt like, I can't even explain it. I got insanely hot. Like, I stripped down naked on this bed. I'm sweating profusely. I'm like, ma'am, how long am I gonna feel like this? And she's like, probably the whole time that you're on it for the next 24 hours. And I'm like, at that point, I seriously almost told her, just take my IV out. Like, I'm going home. I can't do this. I'm a big fat baby, I know. So I ended up, that made me pass out because it just relaxes your whole muscles. So I got really good sleep that night. They also did a flu test for me and a COVID test. Both came back negative, which those were awful. And then at that point, it was mostly just monitoring. Once they got some antibiotics in me for the UTI, they started collecting a 24-hour urine sample to do a protein analysis. And so basically they put a Foley catheter in and they let me pee, and they collected my pee for 24 hours just to see how much protein I did. I did have protein in my urine from at the end of that, but they said it could be because of the infection, so they're going to repeat that. I've been to the doctor and had my urine tested a couple times since I've left the hospital, and there's been no protein in my urine, so we're thinking the protein in my urine was just because of the really bad UTI that I had. So I'm on antibiotics again, but the UTIs are an issue that I will discuss in a little bit. So while I'm in the hospital dealing with all this stuff, my doctor calls and says, hey, you need to change her diet because she failed her 3-hour glucose test, and I have officially been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, which is very serious if you guys do not know. Basically, they had someone come in and they told me, like, if I don't change and I don't manage this, I could give birth to a stillborn baby, and that terrifies me. So I have been changing my diet for the last week, and so far my blood sugar levels look good. I test my sugar about 4 times a day, and I'm thinking about, once I figure out and like make sure that I'm doing it correctly, I would like to do like a what I eat in a day gestational diabetes, because this was so much information to take in at one time, and I'm not someone who knew anything about food. I've never ate properly. Like, it was so much, and I'm still learning, and they tell me that I need to eat more carbs per meal, which I'm trying to do. So once I get this figured out, I would like to do a what I eat in a day gestational diabetes. So let me know if that's something that you guys want to see. Just kind of take you through the process, because it's been a lot. Because of everything that happened in the hospital, my doctor, my OBGYN, officially sent me to a high-risk doctor. I met with him this week, and we're still not sure on a lot of things, but the main things that we're concerned with is obviously the gestational diabetes. Right now it is being managed without medicine, which is what we want to continue to do. My numbers look amazing. They just told me to eat more carbs. The next thing is the urinary tract infection. So basically what's happening with that is I will get a UTI the moment I stop taking antibiotics, and it's consistent. I'm having to cath more often because baby right now is sitting on my bladder, and if you know anything about being pregnant, you pee constantly. So the more water I drink, the more I'm peeing. So then I limit my water intake, which is not good, and that causes infection. So I've just consistently had UTI throughout this whole pregnancy, and my doctor, not the high-risk doctor, my OBGYN had suggested doing a Foley catheter, which I at this point am on board with. If you guys don't know what a Foley catheter is, it's basically a catheter that stays in you all the time and you wear like a leg bag. I know it sounds gross, but I think for where I'm at in my pregnancy, this would be the best option for me, because there's just a lot that goes into it. I'm constantly peeing my pants. Like, I've had to resort to wearing adult diapers, and I'm changing those and like washing clothes multiple times a day because I can't stop peeing my pants. And like I said, then I'm limiting my water intake, which is causing other issues. So the high-risk doctor is referring me to a urologist that they work with, because they don't know what the best option is right now. We're going to try to figure out why those UTIs are just continually happening, because the antibiotics that I'm on should be treating them, but for some reason they're not. Another thing is I've had chronic hypertension throughout the whole pregnancy pretty much. I stopped taking blood pressure medicine at the beginning because my blood pressure was bottoming out and it was making me feel really weird. But then around week 20 I started taking it again, and since then, even though I take my medicine now the way that I should, my blood pressure has been high. I will tell you, I'm not the best at taking medicine, and that is what probably caused a lot of my issues. I'm now on a strict routine where I'm doing it and staying on top of it, because I do not want to have that happen again, because it was a really scary hospital stay. My blood pressure is managed right now, but it is something that they're closely monitoring, especially with the preeclampsia. So that is another reason why I'm going to the high-risk doctor. Basically, I have a bunch of pregnancy things happening all at once in one person, and the doctor said she's not had a case similar to mine, just because a lot's going on. So with that being said, the high-risk doctor does not know if they want me to deliver with them or deliver here with my regular OBGYN. I will find that out next week, and honestly, I don't think that my regular OBGYN has any problems delivering me, but with me being high risk and having all these complications, they said, my OBGYN said she doesn't think that they'll let me go past 37 weeks because of everything going on, but my high risk doctor didn't say anything about that. So we'll find out more about delivery, who's delivering me and what that looks like. If I do deliver with the high risk doctor, I will definitely have an induction date set, because that's about an hour and a half away, and the high-risk doctor doesn't want me going into labor and then having to drive an hour and a half away. I don't want that either. The next thing with labor that is very scary is if I decide to have a vaginal birth, which is what I'm wanting, it's very possible that they will have to use forceps and or a vacuum, and that terrifies me. I have heard horror stories about that, and something in my gut just tells me that that's not the right thing to do, and I really have to think about it, because I know that there are pros and cons to everything. Like, labor and delivery is all up in the air, but I do not feel comfortable having a vacuum pulled on my baby's head when we're not going to know if we need to use those until we're in the moment, because we don't know what muscles I have and what I can actually like push out. So if I choose to go the vaginal delivery route, it's very possible that they will have to intervene with those tools, and that's just not something that sits right with me. So I really am like kind of leaning more towards a C-section now, just because I want to make sure that my baby is safe. I know that there are complications for everything, but it's a hard decision to make, and I just don't know where I'm at with that. So I do want to tell you, when I went to the high-risk doctor, they did do another weight on him. At my 20-week ultrasound, I did say he was a chunky baby. He was in the 94th percentile, I think, and so I was really nervous that I was going to have a chunky baby, especially with me having gestational diabetes, because that usually leads to chunky babies. But he's not chunky anymore. At 31 weeks, he is approximately 3.5 pounds, and I think they said he was in the 37th percentile. So he's a little guy, and I have a picture to show you guys. He has the chunkiest cheeks. Like, I cannot handle it. I want to talk more about my mental health, because that's something that I don't feel people talk about, and I think that it should be talked about. When I was in the hospital and when I went to the high-risk doctor, they do assessments. Both times they told me that I scored really high on the depression scale, so I will be going back to my therapist. I stopped seeing my therapist because my therapist and I agreed that I didn't need it anymore, but I think that I'm struggling more than I realize. Getting on a schedule has really helped over the last week, I think, and my energy has improved a lot. I've been taking my medicine the way that I should. I set alarms on my phone. I try to get into a routine and a schedule, and that has really helped me a lot, but for some reason I still scored high on those scales. I think it's just because 2020 is a weird year. Like, they were asking me if I have things to look forward to, and I'm like, what do I have to look forward to? I can't leave my house. Like, people are dying. We're still on lockdown. Like, you know, like what do I have to look forward to? I did talk about how I was put on iron. I want to clarify, I found this out. There are no prescription iron pills. The iron pills that I'm taking are actually over the counter. They're just a stronger dose, and my doctor did prescribe them for me, but I don't think that you have to have a prescription for iron pills. However, that is making me very sick. When I first started taking it, it was giving me the worst heartburn of my entire life. I felt like I had fire in my throat constantly. It's slowed down a little bit now, but it's still not my favorite thing in the world, and I have to take it 2 times a day. So I'm not sure if that's what's helping with my energy too, but I'm really thankful that over the last week my energy has improved a lot. My body just aches, and so like today I wanted to go take a nap, but I'm like, I have to film this video for you guys to let you guys know what's going on, because like I said, it's a lot. The next thing I want to talk about is my sleep. Last video I talked about how I was sleeping on the couch. In order to maintain a schedule, I have came back to the bed. I think because I'm changing my diet, my heartburn hasn't been so bad, and that was one of the main reasons that I wasn't sleeping in the bed, because I couldn't lay down without having the worst heartburn. I have been sleeping on the bed for the last week, and I've been sleeping okay, pretty okay. I know I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I do want to let you know that the chances of him coming early are super high, especially with me having everything going on. I don't think they're going to let me go past 39 weeks, but it's very possible that they will induce me at 37 weeks, which is literally 6 weeks away, and that is crazy. I cannot believe that I'm about to have a child. I cannot believe that I'm even pregnant, and it's wild. I want to show you the picture they gave us at the high-risk doctor, because we finally got like a nice photo of his little face. We'll have a 3D ultrasound next week, and I think we'll get more photos of his face then, but okay, y'all. That's my son. Look how cute he is. He's just a handsome little man. He's got the chubbiest cheeks. He looks so much like Jacob. Like, side-by-side baby pictures, they're identical. You can just tell in his face that he is Jacob's son, tried and true. And I do think it's funny because every time we have an ultrasound that's like in-depth, like this was like an anatomy scan, he's showing off his little boy parts. Every ultrasound tech that I've seen has been like, your boy is proud that he's a boy, definitely a little boy. No different this time. He was just showing off. Showing his wiener to the ultrasound tech. I'm like, what the heck? I want to finish this video up with some questions that I got on Instagram. I only had 2, I think, that I saved, but I do want to answer those because I didn't see them in time for my last video. Okay, so the first one is going to be a little bit of a TMI, so if you don't like, if you're my family or whatever, don't want to hear about sex, you might want to just skip now. It says, how has sex life intimacy been? I'm 22 weeks and struggling to find energy to be intimate. So I will tell you right now that I have never, well, since I got injured, I haven't had a high sex drive. It comes and it goes. Being pregnant, every day is different. I thought having a boy and having the testosterone in my system would make me more sexual, but I really haven't noticed like a major difference. Right now, I have more energy, but my body hurts. Like right now, that's why I keep my hand up like this. My back is hurting. I need a massage. Like my hips hurt. Bending over is just out of the question right now. So sex can be, like actual like penetration can be very difficult, and I will tell you, there's not been a lot happening since I got pregnant. But that's not abnormal for us. I do feel like my desire and my want for it to be sexual has increased over the last couple of weeks, but we're still not having sex frequently. And I'm sorry, Jacob, if you're not wanting all your business out on the internet. I think with this though, you have to communicate with your partner, because sex doesn't have to be like intercourse. It doesn't have to be like, when you think about sex, there's so many different ways to have sex, and so there are different things that you can do that may be less energy, where you can still feel like you're being intimate with your partner. Like I feel like I'm being intimate with Jacob whenever we lay down for bed and we just talk about our day, and like he'll rub my back and I'll rub his chest or I'll rub his thighs, and that feels like intimate to me. Like that's how I feel intimate with him. Of course, yes, having sex is intimate too, but there are all kinds of different ways to have intimacy with your partner. You just have to figure out what works for you. But I will tell you, girl, you are not alone in this. I'm in my due date group, and a lot of other pregnant people are talking about how they are not wanting to even think about sex. Then there are some pregnant people who can't get enough of it. Really, it's just hit or miss for a lot of people. So you're not wrong for feeling that way. Just have a conversation with your partner. Figure out what works for you guys. The next thing is food that you used to love but can't stand while pregnant. At this point in my pregnancy, I will eat anything. Well, I want to eat anything. I can't because of my gestational diabetes, but I feel like it. So at the beginning of my pregnancy, I couldn't eat anything. I survived off sugar, cinnamon toast, and cinnamon sugar cereal. That's what I survived off of pretty much. I couldn't stand chicken. I love chicken. I couldn't eat any type of meat. I couldn't cook it. I hated it. But now that at this point in my pregnancy, I pretty much crave anything and everything. I had a craving one time for salmon. I didn't end up eating it, but I craved it. I bought it and everything, and then it went bad because I didn't get around to cooking it because I don't know how to cook salmon. I don't even know why I wanted it. I don't even know if I've had salmon in my life, but for some reason I wanted salmon. I don't know. Yeah, at this point in my pregnancy, I want to eat everything, especially because I'm having to restrict my diet. Like I just want the big fat moist, I'm sorry if that word disgusts you, chocolate cake right now, and I can't have it. Well, I can have a little bit of cake, but like not a lot, and I want a lot. Okay, I know this was a long video, guys. If you stuck through, thank you. Like I said, I will try to do more things that aren't pregnancy related, but if you guys want to know anything, feel free to let me know in the comments. Follow me on TikTok. That's where I'm doing the majority of my updating, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Bye.